Welcome to Pencils and Lipstick. This is a podcast for indie authors. I'm Kat Caldwell, novelist, short story writer, and book coach. Here on Pencils and Lipstick, we're obsessed with all things story, and it is my goal to bring you the writing tips that you need to make your novel come to life. We are here for our first marketing hour. We still don't have a title, Becky.
I know. I'm drawing a blank, monthly. So it is what it is.
It's the monthly marketing hour we're going to go. So this is our very first full episode. And we are, like, if people don't know you, you are Becky Grogan. Where can they find you?
They can find me at beckythebookcoach.com.
I love you.
I want to make it easy because I can't remember either.
You're like, what's my name? beckythebookcoach.com. Obviously, all the links will be in the show notes. But today we're going to start at the beginning of marketing because we are authors primarily, and you are going to help us. Where do we go when we want to start talking to people about our books?
Well, I always, and you'll hear me say this a lot, you have to develop audience before income. All right. So you have to start.
You're already making us uncomfortable.
Sorry. Well, what I do want to, let me say this first then. Marketing is not magic.
Okay.
There is nothing marketing wise that you can't accomplish with a little bit of help and guidance. And I said this before, one of the reasons I love working with writers so much is because, well, besides you have fascinating minds and you can make these wonderful stories, and that just blows me away because that's a talent that I don't really have. But writers have the ability to tell story, and that's what marketing is. When you look at marketing, you are, as a marketer, telling a story to a prospective client. You are not selling it. You're giving them information. So basically what you're doing is you're connecting with your reader, or you're a bridge between yourself and your reader. And that's all it is. And if you simplify it down and stop being afraid of it, because it can be really scary. There's lots of buzzwords out there. People make it sound like you have to have some kind of magical power in order to succeed in marketing, and that's not true. Yeah. So my goal in my coaching is to make it practical. Use common sense. Yeah, make it practical. I started because I was really going into romance. That was my first initial business plan with my coaching. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do the KIST method. KIST, get it? KISST, KIST. I thought it was kind of cute. So anyway, it was keep it simple, sustainable, and true. And by that, what I mean is you don't have to do all those things. You have to do something that you can sustain in your life, because nobody is doing just one thing, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
We are in so many different spaces during the day and in our lives. And so you have to be reasonable about what you can sustain, and you have to be authentic. So that's what the true is. It's like, first of all, be true to yourself, understand who you are, understand why you're doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And then that's the basis. So it doesn't have to be all the bells and whistles. It doesn't have to be so overly complicated. You don't need an agency. Now, I would say if you become, like Lucy Score or Megan Quinn, yeah, you might need an agency.
You might need a team.
And right? That's a good thing, because at that point you can afford it. If you want somebody to completely take it over.
Who you are, what you're doing, you have something established, and you know how to guide them, I would say. Like I still think one of my biggest mistakes was getting a social media person without knowing what I wanted them to do. My whole thought was like, just do the social media, which I'm sure that you're like, ugh. And that's exactly what happened to my social media. It just tanked because it wasn't really authentic to me. It was just pushing. They tried to make stories, I guess, about my books, but that's all it was. It gets really boring. Yeah. That's not what social media is.
But how can you direct them if you don't know yourself?
Exactly. That was my point. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's what I don't, and this is, people are like, what? I said, I don't do marketing for writers. I do not make posts. I do not write blogs. Right. I teach you to take the skills that you have and use them for your own marketing. And honestly, just like anything, it takes practice, and you will get better and better and better. But again, simplifying it. Why does it
Okay.
have to be so complicated?
I don't
You
know,
know,
they make it feel complicated.
they do, and I really don't like that. That
Yeah.
bothers me. And having been a marketer and a marketing strategist for so many years, and yes, I will say 35, 40 years, maybe a little bit more, but I don't want to get too detailed about that. But anyway, it's it's one of those things. It's frustrating. It's like, why does there have to be this mystique?
Yeah.
Marketing women dress beautifully. They have, really big, beautiful cars, and it's like, no, no, we're normal people. We're doing the normal thing. As a writer, this is part of your journey if you want to publish your book.
Mm.
And again, this is where it gets uncomfortable for writers, is that you have to be able to, and it might take a while. I'm not going to say it's going to be like instantaneous, but you have to sit down and go, what is my plan for this book? What do I want to do?
Okay.
Do I really want to be traditionally published? Do I want to independently published? Or is this story writing, I'm writing it because I have to get it on paper.
Hmm.
And once I've done that, I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
So those are completely different paths, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I have
they are.
stuff that I write, and I'm not a great writer. I've done one nonfiction book, but um it's one of those things where I write things down because they have to come out of my head
Right,
because
right,
I
right.
feel it, and it's like this has to be written down. Will anybody ever see it? No.
We all have those things.
No. But
But
when
marketing
you
does come to the people who decide, at least at one level, I want
yes.
others to read this.
Yes, so if that is your path, if you say I am writing this book because I feel strongly about this story. I know it's a good one. We've talked about in our conversation before, it's transformative in some way for the reader. Um, then you need to like step back and go, I'm going to try for traditional, or I know for sure I'm going to do indie because there's lots of different things that are involved in that. And
Is the marketing different per, do you think?
no, the
Okay.
marketing is not different, other than if you are fortunate enough to get a traditional contract and you have an agent.
Right.
There will be some marketing done for you, but I think that has decreased over
Yeah.
the years as the industry has changed a lot. So traditionally published authors, unless they are like consistently bestseller, 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 they have to do their own marketing too.
Yeah.
Because, for instance, if you have a book that's coming out and it's being published by Simon and Schuster, are they even still in business? But that's who
I have
came to
no
my
idea.
mind. Then they're going to say this book is coming out on this date. It could take 2 years to publish it. Um, and we are going to do a three-stop book tour. Three
Yeah.
stop.
Like 3 stops. Yeah.
And we'll do a public relation, we'll do a news release, we will do a press release, I'm sorry, and we will, put it on our social media.
And you'd be surprised how little that is.
And that
Well,
is not, yeah,
and what I've heard from a lot of my people that I've coached and have decided to go traditional is the agents want to see their social media platform or their newsletter platform and what are
yeah.
they doing, because I think it actually goes, it's not so much that they know how to market, but that they're willing to be out there as well. Whether
Yeah.
it's on Substack or whatever, there is something they're looking for, something like, so it has to be, you've got
They
it.
are looking to see if there's an interest in your book. Is there an interest in
That
your work?
true. And if you
Have
can't
you
prove it,
created yeah, have you created this audience that's waiting for this book? Have you connected with readers who are your ideal reader?
yeah,
And
most of us
if you
haven't. That's the problem.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's part of it. So it's a step-by-step process. It is not I'm going to do everything all at one time, and if I do
Okay.
this like for 2 months and they see me every day, then I'm done. No, it doesn't work that way.
I wish.
Just doesn't work that way. But to me, that just saying that gives me anxiety
Yeah.
because I'm like, how can well, you can't possibly squish everything into a
Yeah.
small time frame.
Right.
It takes time. It's baby steps. It's developing and understanding what you're doing, why you're doing it, and who it's for.
Mm.
Um, because we all love, and Kat and I laugh about this. It's like, who are you writing for? Well, everyone's going to love my book.
Yeah, that's what
No,
everyone
they're
thinks.
not.
Well, even saying like, even narrowing it down to, well, contemporary romance readers, you go, that's still millions
Huge.
of people,
Yeah.
right? And so that's where I would get really frustrated, because they're like niche down, and I get it, but it was just like, Well, contemporary romance readers, closed door, still huge. Great.
Yeah, and that's one. So the way we're gonna do this, because I can sit here and talk forever, and Kat's supposed to give me some kind of sign to shut up. But the way I work, and this is my personal approach, and
Mhm.
everybody has one, and there's so many good ways to do this. This is what I'm comfortable with, and this is what I believe. So the pillars that I use when I'm teaching writers to market for themselves is your author brand, which
Okay.
just saying that makes people go, "Oh, I don't have a brand." It's like, wait, wait, wait. Let's don't panic. Let's step back and understand what that means. And then you have to identify that reader, and you have to get really into understanding that person and who they are, and why you are appealing to them.
Mhm.
And then once you find out where they are, where they hang out, and yes, it does take some research. It's not like you go, oh, all contemporary romance readers. Yeah, no. That might be a place to start, but
Yeah.
you gotta just really start narrowing things down. And I think I think there's a piece of that that is just total fear that if
Yeah.
I don't say that my market for my book is huge, I'm going to miss everybody that wants to buy it. And it's
Mhm.
really actually the opposite. If you really find your ideal reader and you start to connect with them, that's going to continue to grow. And we talk about several different romance writers that we follow, and some of them have this incredible fan base that does their marketing for them. I
Yeah, who
think
was
I
that sticker lady that you did?
yes, that's so. Devney Perry is a romance writer, and I follow her. I think she's really cool. She writes good books, and she put out this thing. She does a lot of series where, like, one is set in Eden.
Mhm.
That's the name of the town, and I can't remember if it's in Colorado or someplace else. Anyway, so she's got like 5 different stories, maybe 6 in this series, and so she was coming out with a new book, or she was republishing or something, and she said, um, "If I need readers to sign up to get these stickers. I have stickers that pertain to the books, um, and I will send them to you. And if you would take them to your local bookstore, slide the stickers into one of the books, and then let people know where it is." And I was like, "Oh,
That's
pick
so
me,
brilliant.
like pick me, pick me, pick me." So I'm
Oh,
like, "There's no
and it
way we're
was a contest to be chosen?
no." It was just like I figured we all tend to, and I'm guilty of this as well. When you love an author,
Yeah.
you tend to kind of put them up on this pedestal,
Yes.
like,
Of course.
oh, but we're all real people, right? And so we need to think of it in those terms.
No,
So
but
I
that
was
was a
like,
brilliant
well,
idea.
I know, but I was like, oh, she's not going to send me any stickers. Well, I filled out the form. I got my stickers.
That's so
I
cool.
went to the Barnes and Noble, and then when I'm in there, I'm like, somebody already put stickers in the book. Who did that?
Oh, and then you
So
wanted to find that person.
so then I'm go to another store, and I'm doing that, and I'm taking pictures, and I'm saying where I am. All of a sudden, this is, to me, this is the best organic marketing. I'm getting texts from people going, "I live in Wilmington too. When were you at the Barnes and Noble?" And I'm like, "Really? Do you like to read?" And so all of a sudden, not only had we done something for this author that we loved, and it's going all over her Facebook pages, and it's being reposted and all of this, we're starting to connect together
Yeah.
as people who have that thing in common, that we love reading her
Right.
books. And of course, that
Yeah.
means we love reading romance and blah, blah, blah. So I actually did it twice for her.
That's
She put another
amazing.
call out. That was so stinking fun. I felt important. I
Yes.
really
That's
did. I
that's really
felt
what we want.
so
Yeah.
important. And I'm in the Target, and I'm sliding the sticker sheet in. I'm taking a picture, and I'm taking pictures of her books, and it was like a field trip when I was in grade school. So much fun
I
and
bet.
brilliant, just brilliant. So
I would even
those
say
kind of
for the
things.
author, she also felt important because quite honestly, it's brilliant, but it's a little scary because
Yeah,
I don't care how big you are, you're going to go, what if no one fills out the form?
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, you're always going to have that little doubt. So like
right.
to come together and be like I don't know, a little army for romance. It was just so
Oh, but see,
fun.
but that's that connection because you
Yeah.
as a writer don't always know the value of your work.
Right. Yeah.
But if a reader loves what you do, they're telling you the value
Mhm.
that you bring. And so
Right.
if you are able to connect with them, they might think, oh my God, Kat Caldwell, she's my favorite. Oh, she'll never talk to me. You would talk to them in a heartbeat. You
Oh,
would text them
yeah.
back, you would do whatever, and they'd be like,
You'd be like, "I have
super
a
fan.
fan."
I'm a super fan. And that's really, I happen to think that romance readers are really, really loyal fans
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
writers that they love. And
Mhm.
again, when you're talking about expanding your reach and how you do this, when someone that I read recommends somebody else, then I immediately go get that book.
Mhm.
And so this is where that support within the community is really, really important. And we'll talk about that
Okay.
a little bit later. But the author brand is understanding who you are and why
Okay.
you're doing what you're doing. And then when you're identifying your audience, that's how you are finding those readers that really want to connect with what you are writing. So it's you first, then you're building your audience, and then the third pillar is creating a strategy, which that's just a fancy word for a goal. Okay. So your big strategy, your umbrella strategy might be this year, I want to increase my followers. I want to get 1,000 people following me.
Oh, so you're saying like I need a strategy, or we all need a strategy for like a limited amount of time. We're not going
Well, I
like
think it's
my
easier to do
strategy
it
is
in,
to get New York Times bestseller
yes,
status.
that's a great goal. That it really is. But how are you going to do that? I'm not
Yeah.
saying you can't because you absolutely can, but it doesn't happen
Yeah.
just because you say it, right?
Right. It happens because of the smaller steps too. That's what when
Yes.
I used to study all the mindset and the goals, like I got it, but then when I realized like, oh, but you actually need like the smaller goals too, I was like, why didn't anyone ever say that?
Well, I have a friend and he's always like, how do you eat an elephant, Becky? And I'm like, yes, I know, one spoonful at a time or forkful, whatever utensil you're using, because I want to be the New York Times bestseller.
Yeah.
So you have to really be like, okay, wait, let's
Right.
back off of this and let's look at what I like to break it down into the quarters of the year, just
Okay.
because I come from a corporate marketing background and that's 3 months is doable, right? And the
Mhm.
other thing to understand about marketing is that you have to be able to shift and move and
Okay.
I have to use this word,
Uh-oh.
pivot. Ugh,
Oh no. I always think
such a
of Friends
COVID,
though.
that's such a COVID word.
Oh,
But anyway,
really? I think of Friends. Did you not see that one where they're putting the oh, you have to go find it. Where they're moving the couch up to Ross's apartment and he kept saying, "Pivot." Okay, now it'll change your idea of pivot.
this is like, okay, so now I got to go watch Friends. But no,
Get
so
COVID out.
you have to be able, I never watch shows when they're actually live. I always watch them like I binge watch them like
40
5 years
years
later.
later. Yeah.
Yeah, 40 years later. I still, I can binge watch the Gilmore Girls 100 times. I love that show. Anyway, talk about good writing, but that's another topic.
Yeah, my
But
kids are on that too. So we're looking at
oh, yeah.
strategies. We're looking at yeah, 90 days, right? Is a
Yeah,
quarter.
so 90 days.
That's
So,
easy.
when you look at it, I mean, in a in a larger setting, and hopefully you would get to this point, you can
Mhm.
plan a year out. And really that's your best strategy is to
Mhm.
have a plan for a year, a strategy for the year. But
Okay.
I really think starting small is the way you need to go. You need to understand it doesn't happen overnight. You don't have to do all of the things. This is what, and I think we've talked about this, Cat, because we're not doing the throw cat under the bus segment, but
But
we,
we can if you want.
but I think that Cat would have a lot to speak to you about when you want to ramp up your social media and all of a sudden you are posting every day and you're being consistent, but then you can't maintain that. And the reader doesn't understand the context with which you're trying to communicate because if they don't understand who you are and why you do what you do and what your message is and who you're trying to reach, you can throw things out there all day long, but you're causing frustration for yourself. People aren't understanding where you're coming from, what you're trying to tell them,
Mhm.
and are you actually telling the right people?
All good
So,
questions.
yeah. So, I mean, uh, this is the other thing that people, I don't think we think about it, but you have to sit back and you have to reflect, right?
Yeah.
You're a
No.
writer.
I don't
You're good at coming up with ideas. You are good at thinking something through and taking
Right.
an idea from an idea to a published work, to a book that says the end.
Okay.
And that's really what you're doing with your marketing. You
Okay.
it's a journey, it's a process, it's a plan. Do you write a book in a month?
No.
No. All
No.
right. So,
I'm thinking, I'm sure there's someone out there that claims to,
oh,
but
I'm
if you're
sure
writing,
there
you're
are
writing
people
a
that write
good book
they
in a
write
month.
really, really fast, and that's wonderful. But that's a whole
But
different
that's
topic.
usually somebody who's very, very established. And we're talking about people like whether you're like me and you just didn't do marketing for the longest time because you had no confidence and you had babies. And now you're
Yeah,
playing
babies will get in
catch
the
up,
way. Yeah.
or you're starting out, um,
Yeah.
you're not writing a book in a month. So no.
But
Well,
I think the thing that I love about emerging authors is that they are just starting out. And
mhm.
so if you're starting out and you start out with good habits or
Yes.
good balance in your life, understanding the reality of what you have resource-wise, time, money,
Hmm.
whatever, to dedicate to marketing because
Yeah.
you don't need to spend 40 hours a month. You
Yeah.
have to be realistic. And so when we get down to the strategy part of it, we'll talk a little bit more about
Okay.
that, about making it fit within your life. But that is the consistency and the sustainability are the two things that I don't think writers think about. And they think
So
it's got to be all or nothing. You're out there
yeah.
tap dancing on TikTok and you're doing this and doing that. And then I sold 3 books.
Yeah. You go, and I
And
lost
you're
a
like,
thousand followers. What's
and,
happening?
and you're like, why? Why? And I did all the things. It's like, well, you know what? When we go back to the author brand,
Mm,
are you supposed to be doing all those things? Do they
right.
fit with what you believe? Do they fit with who you are as a person? Are you trying to make yourself into something that you're not?
Yeah. Good
And if
question.
you're uncomfortable doing something with marketing or marketing makes you feel like really cringy and have you researched it? Have you really thought about, yeah, I don't want to do TikTok. I don't want to make
Mm,
videos. I'm not comfortable with that. I love to write. I could do a blog. I could do a newsletter. I can, there's a
mm,
lot of different things that
yeah.
are available. And doing everything to me would be a path to insanity. And
It is because I've tried that, and I literally felt
yeah,
like I was on a. Honestly, that was a great thing about COVID. I just stopped, and I was like, I can't because I was
yeah,
trying to do all the things. I've been everywhere. I like that I'm a trier. I will try things out. The new thing, give it to me. I'll try it. And now at
hmm,
least I'm old enough to be like, yeah, that's not for me at all. But when you're
yeah,
talking about brand strategy and you're saying like choose the things that are good for, that you can keep up, right? If you
hmm,
don't want to.
yeah,
So what if you're starting out in your author brand? What if you do choose some sort of social media,
hmm.
but your whole life all you've been doing on social media is what everyone does is throw up the kids pictures and I did that and I went here. What how do you s- pivot that on your author brand, or what are your ideas on that? Do you start a new one? Well, like
Well,
what
all right. So, in my opinion, for what it's worth, is don't confuse your private life with your life as a writer.
Okay.
Now, there are parts of your life that will, of course, cross over,
Mm,
but if you're looking strictly at social media, like we'll use Facebook, it gets confused if you have one Facebook page, and it's both your writing, your podcast, your family, your this, your that, your extracurricular things, whatever you do with your church or with your, vacationing and all of that. It doesn't know
what to
how to
do with
rank
you.
that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
yeah, it's like, and so it does nothing with you, basically.
Yeah, people
And
stop seeing your stuff.
they stop seeing your stuff
I've tried
because
it.
because the algorithm doesn't know when they're like, who's this crazy lady? Why is she trying to do all this stuff? What do we care? Right?
Mhm.
Because again, it's narrowing things down and
Okay.
it's really focusing in on building that audience, and that audience starts with who you are as a writer. And it's very hard for writers to understand that.
Okay.
And we've talked about it a bit, and I'll keep saying it because I think it's really important.
Mhm.
Writers tend to be introverted, not all of them, of course, but they also tend to think solely about their craft and the story, and they don't
Yes.
understand that they it's them first and then the story. You promote the author and then the story.
That's
Because
really interesting. I think you should say that again. You promote the
you
author and
promote
then
the
the story.
author and then the story. Because, all right, I have this really weird example that I'm going to make up out of
Okay.
this crazy brain of mine. All right, so um, I am not going to read something by a 8-foot hairy man that is cussing all the time, right? I want nothing to do with him. He might write the best story in the whole world, but I don't know him. I don't like him. I don't trust him. And we unfortunately have a tendency to let that first impression
Hmm.
cloud our vision sometimes.
Yeah, I think we
So
have to get over the idea that writing or being an author is no longer what it was in the 80s and 90s. Like I didn't know anything about my favorite authors back then.
yeah,
And I would try to find like the author
yeah,
bio in the back, like you just didn't have access to it. They were just these kind of elusive somebody somewhere, and I got to see Isabel Allende speak one time, which was so exciting, but now you can find information. So you do need to be out there, right? Like you
yeah.
can't.
You if you want to sell a book, somebody's got to know the book is coming.
What?
So, I mean, yeah, think
What?
about it. I mean, and that's the thing. If you don't have an
Yeah, so
audience,
so true.
you have no one to sell your book to.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And the audience wants to know you first and not, "Oh, Kat, how many times do you brush your teeth?" That might be interesting, but, that's not what we're talking about. We're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about let's see. I wanna know about what's the topic of your book? Why
Hmm.
are you writing it? What brought you to this place? I think that just came out of Ralph and Randy's, Christmas story. What brought you to this place? Anyway, so you have to be able
Okay.
to express that to your reader. And I think I said to you one time, Kat, when your readers pick up your book, what do they expect?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then you made me look at my social media.
yeah,
But I think
Be-
I think there's something that is something that we have to repeat over and over again, because weirdly enough, writers are very I don't think they have the confidence in that people care about that. And
yeah,
that is a misconception in our brains that we've just got to
mhm,
fix.
right.
Actually, when I read a book that I love, I now want to know, like, if Barbara Kingsolver comes to speak somewhere, you better believe
Where is
I'm going to
she?
buy that
Yes,
ticket, because I
yes.
just want to hear her talk about stuff, and like, and just meet her and be like, oh my gosh, she's
And
so
when I
good at
was in
writing
college,
stories.
and I was getting my I was going through the English program, and heavily in literature. And one of the professors I had, I loved her, and I had her several times. And every time she'd make us read a book, Look Homeward, Angel, all of the ones that are classics. And
Hmm.
and I said, I don't particularly like these stories, but I really want to know why they are written.
Mm.
Why did Thomas Wolfe write this? Why did Jane Austen write this? Why did, Ernest Hemingway? I want to know about the person, because when I know the person, it's interesting to me to see what went into their work from their own life experience. And that is part of it. Because I
That
mean, I
is
don't know that
interesting.
I've met a writer that writes fiction that doesn't put some of themselves in every book
Yeah,
that they write.
yeah.
And there's reoccurring themes. There's things that in your soul that come out,
Mm.
and there's a reason. There's a reason you have to tell this story. I want to know why. Why do you write it?
So
What pushes
that's part
you?
of your author brand, is telling people why you're
Mhm.
writing.
Yes, and part of that, and we go back to, and I think we'll do this on the next episode, is we're really going to start talking about understanding core values as a person. And this gets a little
Okay.
confusing, and people always kind of hesitate. But of course, it takes some thinking about. So, um, I will have a link to this list of values, and it's a starting point.
Okay.
Um, but the thing that's interesting about discovering your core values is, when I did this, I realized that what I thought were my core values were just, and look, my hand's going up.
Zoom.
I don't know why it does that. But anyway, if
Thumbs
I only
up.
didn't talk with my hands, thumbs up, lower my hand. Anyway, what was I saying?
Your core values. So what you
Yeah,
thought
your
were
core
your
value.
core
So
values.
what I thought was my core values, when you look at the way that that you're to look at them so that you are identifying what's in you, your
Okay.
core value. So it's the stuff that's down here. Um, and so they are ones that you freely choose. And I'm going to give the link to this too. Um, Susan David, who wrote Emotional Agility,
Mm-hmm.
has a reference sheet for how you choose your values and what it really means. And one
Mm-hmm.
of the things that she says, and I'm looking up here, they're freely chosen and they've not been imposed on you. It has
Oh.
nothing to do with society, with your family, with, you know, culture, all of that. They're not goals. They are
Yeah.
things that you need to fulfill you. They're
Mm.
active. You know, it's just like um, I had someone that said, well, my core value is kindness. And I said, well, and there's an exercise we went through, and I said, well, explain that to me. And she said, um, my best friend, one of my very best friends in college, passed away, and she was kind, and it meant a lot to her. So I want to carry on that legacy of being kind to people. And I was like, that's not a core value. That's a
Mm.
really lovely thing to want to do. That's a reflection of your personality for sure. But is that fulfilling you? When you think about what fulfills you as a person, just you, no one else,
Right.
does that come to your mind? And one of the other things, it helps you to stop comparing yourself to others
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, I must not be I have to say family, right? Family's got to be my core value
That's
because
what I was just gonna
if
say.
I don't say
Don't.
family, then
Yeah.
I'm not as good as Kat because she loves her family. No,
So we need to put it, this is like a very personal exercise
this is a
in
personal
and be
exercise.
very careful about choosing what you think society or other people need you to choose because that's not
Because
authentic, right? That's not
no,
true to
that's
you.
right. But the thing that's really great about this is when you get through this exercise and you really think about it, it starts to foster self-acceptance
Oh, that's
because
really
you
nice.
well, it helps you understand. Like
Yeah.
I am like, well, one of my jobs, they called me road runner because I had 100 balls in the air all the time. I walked so fast, I would like fly past people,
With
papers flying and
your
stuff.
feet like
Yeah, with my little,
going in
and they'd be like, there
circles.
goes road runner. And
I love
when I was
Roadrunner.
yeah, when I was doing an event, I was like a field marshal. I'm like, over there, tablecloth, that, all these things, doing everything.
Mm,
Um, but I felt that I had to do that. And when
mm,
I stopped, I could never let a ball drop, right? Because that people would think poorly of me.
mm.
That was imposed on me by
Yeah,
the way I
yeah,
grew up. When
yeah.
I stopped working out in the business world and started my own business, I couldn't do anything. I went from this really highly productive, motivated woman who just loved what she was doing to somebody who thought they were on this new career path. And I'm sitting there like spinning in my chair and I'm like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah,
What I didn't understand was that structure has to be part of my life. If I don't have
yeah.
structure, if I don't have boundaries, I don't work.
Yeah,
I
we all
just
think
don't
that
know
it'd
what to
be
do with
great to
myself.
not have any structure until we have no structure. That's what I tell people, honest. I'm the
Yeah.
same way, and it took me a very long time to figure that out because I was like, I used to be able to get so much done when I was working full time. Like, what the heck is happening?
Yeah, because your mind and what I figured out was what one of my friends said, "Well, don't you call your husband during work and don't you call your son and don't you?" I'm like, "No.
Mm,
When my foot steps into my office, it's go time.
yeah,
And I know everything that has to happen and I am focused solely on that." So then when I get into this world where I'm in my own office, right? In my
yeah,
home doing my thing, I'm like, I'm paralyzed. What
yeah,
is going on with me? And then I started realizing that if I don't have the structure, if I don't have a plan, if I don't have organization, and I cannot deal in chaos. And so I have to recognize when my life is in chaos and the structure is one of my core values because it aligns with what makes me function and feel good and understand how I do the things that I do.
that's
Um,
okay.
and
That's really
so
interesting.
when I chose my core values or understood what they were, the ones that I have to have, and you don't have 100 of them, you have five, four,
Okay.
five, six, because you can't do everything, right? You have to really think about it. It's challenging. But I keep my core values written in my notebook so that when I'm making decisions and stuff, I'm looking at them going, does this feel good? Am I
Mm,
happy when I'm thinking about this? Does this decision feel like it's aligned with my values? So yeah, so they are
okay.
like right here,
Okay.
and I'm happy to share them with you. Mine are creativity, structure, authenticity, contribution, honesty, and connection. Those are my core values.
So when you say to do the exercise, we're choosing, because I know how creatives think, right? We go really introspective and like you
Mhm.
could we're, we're not necessarily choosing core values for all of the aspects of our life. We're taking our core values and then we're choosing the top 5 that work in our author brand. Is
Well,
that
no, they
true?
work in you. You're
Okay.
you.
Okay, you. So
Because your
just your
author
top
brand is
5?
nothing but you, right?
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
yeah, so let's just take the brand out of it. Let's find out who's Kat.
Okay.
What do you need to be fulfilled? How do you figure those things out? Like I know with the creativity part of me, that is a driving force for me. And when I start getting feeling out of control or emotional, I realize I have to do something that allows me to be creative, whether it's writing, painting, and I'm a really bad painter, but it's okay. Doesn't matter.
I'm a
I
bad baker, but
craft.
I still do it.
Yeah, and that's to me, baking and cooking is creative.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that goes, get this out of you right now so that you can think. Because until you do something to get this feeling
Okay.
out and you're producing something, when I like what I use this example a lot. My father was very sick, and every time I would come home from the hospital, I just go straight to the kitchen table and I'd start painting. Everybody got
Mm.
pumpkin paintings. And then because I was so filled with emotion and,
Yeah.
everything was kind of like battling. And the way to calm myself was to use my creativity to
Mm.
think past it, to calm myself, and I like instant gratification. So I could paint something, I could do
Okay.
something, I could make a wreath, I could make a, floral, I could do anything. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I controlled that. I made it and I feel so much better. Now I'm thinking in a more clear-headed manner. And
Okay.
if I can't show my creativity in some way, and everybody's got their different way, and it doesn't have to be something that's prescribed by someone else. You
Mm.
know, I, I like color, so it's fun for me to, doodle or to color with pencils and that just kind of calms me down and I feel like I'm expressing myself through my creativity. It's
Right.
not for
But
anybody else to see,
right. And I
it's
can
mine.
see how this is. I mean, I know a lot of writers who their top complaint constantly is that they get sucked into social media scrolling. But I can see
Mhm,
how if you have your top core values and you stop for a second to say, is this fulfilling me? Is it making me creative? Is it helping me in my
mhm.
communication? Is it helping? And if you can be honest with yourself, that is actually a really easy way to stop instead of saying like, oh, I just can't stop. Like, actually, that would be a really nice way to be like, oh, okay, I need to
So
be
if you're
creative.
sitting there and you're feeling guilty because you're
Yeah.
like scrolling, scrolling, and you're like, oh, we all have FOMO, right? And so
Yes.
it's like, I don't need this.
Yeah.
I really don't need this. If connection is one of my values, I'm so much happier if I'm doing something and I'm able to connect with someone. Like doing this with Kat, this like hits all of my core values. It makes me so
Mm.
happy. It makes me feel so fulfilled because my creativity, I'm structured in the way that we're doing this. I'm being myself, I'm contributing. Hopefully, there's some value in this for someone. Um, I'm honest about what I do and how I do it.
Right.
And I'm connecting, and it feels so good. It has nothing to do with um, the podcast being out there for people. It's all personal.
Yeah. 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 And it
It's
helps
just
you
all
make those
personal.
decisions, right? Like, if
Because
if it didn't
when
fulfill you, you shouldn't say yes to something just because you
yeah,
feel you should.
and that is the thing. This helps you with decision making because
Okay.
if you know you're making a decision that's important, or even small ones, and they don't
Mm.
feel right, like for me,
Yeah.
my intuition, my gut, it lets me know when things aren't right. And then when I get that feeling, if I listen to my body, whether it's my shoulders are tense, I'm getting like
Mm.
hot, I'm, uncomfortable. stop for a second and go, why am I getting all these cues and clues from my body and from my head? What what am I not thinking about? And when I look at these things and I'm like, that doesn't meet any of the criteria of my core values. This is something
Right.
outside of those that I'm not comfortable with. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and because everybody else is doing it, I've got to do it. No, you don't.
Well, and that's the thing about being in the author world. Once you have a book out, there are a million things that you could be a part of, like
Hmm.
quite literally. And lots of people have ideas. And honestly, if you go to Facebook or TikTok or wherever you go, and you say, "What should I do?" You'll get dozens of ideas thrown at you, and it always makes me feel so like I don't know what core value this is, but I hate it when people I guess I'm very high on individualism, honestly. That's one of my strengths because
Hmm.
I know that you can't do everything and this is a very individualistic thing. You have to decide. Don't just do it. If you don't like in person, if you don't like talking to people, if it
Don't
wears you
do
out,
it.
don't do it just because everyone else is doing it. If you don't want to do podcasts, don't do it. If like
And
but what
yeah.
you do want to do, you can train yourself on. But I mean, we're talking author swaps, blog tours, social media. I
Hmm.
mean, you and I, between the two of us,
Everything.
could probably come up with like 36 different things that people would say this is what you have to do now as an author.
Yes. And see, but that causes so much pressure and anxiety. Just again,
Yes.
when you're
And
talking about, I'm like,
paralyzation of like,
and it's like, you don't have to. You
mhm.
don't have to. And it's kind of like, and I don't particularly like, I'm using a lot of phrases and things that I don't normally like, but you know, if somebody is putting peer pressure,
Yeah.
you don't have to do this
There's a
stuff.
lot of peer pressure in the author world.
And
Yeah.
it's almost, I think social media is so good in some ways, but in other ways, it is so detrimental
Mhm.
to us because we feel like we're falling behind, we're not good enough, we're not adding value, we're not capable, and if we don't do all of these things, we'll never be a successful writer. And that's just not true. And that's that whole this is why I think every writer owes it to themselves to sit down and do
Mhm.
this,
Okay.
look at these things and go, when you come to the end and you figure out what these values are going to be, you kind of go, "Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I understand. I
Yeah.
understand myself a whole lot better now and I can sort of really see where situations in my life I've reacted in a certain way or I've done something and or
Mm.
I've gotten upset and mad because I don't like to be forced into a corner. I don't know anybody that does."
Not
And
very many creatives do.
yeah, and, being able to my whole thing, the authenticity is so important to me because I grew up in a household where you had to be XYZ, you needed to be this, you needed to be this, you needed to be this, and if you weren't that, then you had failed.
Mhm.
And so I wasn't all those things, and I tried very hard to be, and I was really miserable.
Yeah.
And I was afraid that if I actually showed people who I was, what my personality was, what I thought, what I liked, what I didn't like, that no one would like me.
Yeah, they'd label you a failure. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of internalized stuff, right? So,
Yeah, and so had I really understood that, somebody not liking me, that's okay.
ooh. Oh, so that's okay. So once you have your core
Mhm.
values, and if people don't like you, it's really okay. And I
It's
think that is
okay.
one thing that authors take. I don't have a problem reading my reviews or seeing my unsubscribes or my unfollows. Some people do, but
Mhm.
always tell them it's actually better. They're not going to buy your book if you're if they even if you're putting on the mask. Chances are they're not going to buy your book.
And the
And
mask
you're
is
going to be
so
miserable with that mask
heavy. It is so heavy to
on. Yeah.
to control, and, I think as we age and, in my early 20s, I made a lot of stupid mistakes, and at the end of that cycle, I came to the realization, and this was my statement. This is it. You don't like it? Too bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, "I said that.
Yeah.
I'm still here. My head didn't blow up.
Yeah.
I can own that, you know what? You don't have to like me because chances are I was pretending to like you anyway."
There you
So
go. So when we
I'm
have
like,
these
yeah,
core values, do these go into our ideal reader? Are they, is it at all affected
this
by
part of
those?
this, yes, you are going to, when you understand these and you have a better understanding of why you're doing what you're doing, it helps your messaging
Okay.
because you're going to be true to what feels good for you to release and to tell people,
Okay.
you know, because again, I work with the writer and he's like, I won't do social media. I'm like, okay, it
Okay.
makes you uncomfortable. You don't want to expose anyone in your family to your career. I get it.
Okay.
That's fine.
So we're allowed to
And you're
have
comfortable with it.
those
Yes, you can
stakes. Okay.
you can draw that line in the sand and people will respect you for it. If you
Mm-hmm.
look at some of the authors that you really like, um, whether people agree with them or not, like Stephen King's famous for saying, shut up and sit in the seat and write. There's no such thing as writer's block. Get to work.
Shonda
It's
Rhimes says
not
that
easy.
too. Man, people get mad. You go,
Yeah, but
well,
it's
she
kind of
makes a
like,
lot.
okay, but that's who
Yeah.
he is. That is
Yeah,
what he thinks, it's
exactly.
what he believes, and
Right,
that's
right, right.
fine because obviously the man's very talented. And if you like what he reads, I mean what he writes, you'd like to read, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, that's part of who he is, and that's
Yeah.
what you expect from him.
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling is the same way. She's got some very, very strong opinions. You may not agree with them, but daggone it, she's true to them. And
Yeah.
every time she says something, she does it unapologetically
Yeah.
because she's
Shonda
not
Rhimes
lying to her
too.
readers
You're like that.
about who she is,
Yeah.
like
And that
it or
is,
not.
yeah, like it or not. That's true.
Yeah.
So
So,
we're attracting the people, like I guess we're attracting the true fans when we are true to ourselves,
yeah.
who will be that who are good with, like, I guess they're looking for the stories that are part of our core values because our core values are go
Will
into our
come into your
stories.
story. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's not to say that if you write romantic fantasy, that that's a little bit different. But what I'm saying is when you are talking to your readers, when you're
Mhm.
connecting with them and what you're saying to them, like, for instance, I have days when I don't want to do anything. There's just some
Mhm.
days.
Mhm.
And so if I say to my readers, this is a cupcake on the couch day, I can't do anything else. I'm done. And I'm okay with that. And, the book is going to wait one more day. And you would be surprised. People would be like, that's okay. Give yourself
Mhm.
some grace. You don't have to perform. You're a real person. And you're
Yeah.
sharing that with your readers. And you're saying, look, this is how I am. I have days where I don't want to do anything. And this is one of them. So that's it for today. That's all you're going to hear from me. I follow people that go, you know what? I'm stepping back. You're not going to hear from me for a week because I'm going to do blah, 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 blah. It's like, yes,
Yeah.
good for you. Good for you. Because we are your fans and we are your readers, but we also want
Yeah.
to value you. I look at the writers that I read, I'm like, man, I hope they take a vacation. I hope that they're not constantly under this pressure all the time to be on social media and do all these things because you know what? There's a life.
Right. And the more that you're true to yourself and you're like that, you're not under the algorithm pressure. Like,
Yes.
because your true fans are going to still be around. Like,
Yeah.
I think I follow Barbara King's already. Like, there are a couple authors. I'm just, every time we're live, I forget author names, but
Idea book. Where's your idea book,
I know,
Kat?
like, well, I have it right here. I have it. I have it. But
Oh, that was a
the
Cruella de Vil look if I've ever seen one. That was good.
oh, I could be a really big Cruella. I always wanted to act the evil people on the in the plays. But
Nice
I
to know.
like, it doesn't actually matter to me as much how much they're on social media. There are people that you'll go buy their book once you find out their book is there, right? Like,
That's
I
right.
know who they
Yeah.
are. So like, to be a slave to the algorithm is really not going to, I can prove it to you all. It's not going to help you that much. Now, I like social media. I like being a
Mhm.
part of it. I like the challenge of it because dang if it's not a challenge for me. Like, it is
Yeah.
not an
Well,
easy thing. There are other people that, it's just much easier. So whatever. I like it. I'm on it. But that I also have to realize, like, the more you work at this, you are gathering your fans in all these different ways. And I cannot be just like, what is the algorithm doing now? Because that's actually not helpful to me.
well, you met Maite. We
Mm-hmm.
And she's a marketing brand. She's a brand person and she works on websites and stuff. And she works with many different authors. And, she said something in a webinar the other day and I loved it. She said, um, social media is rented land. You
Mm-hmm.
are on rented land. It's not your own. You don't own that algorithm. You don't have any control over how it changes what it does. Um,
And it doesn't matter
but
how much you complain about it. They won't change
it
it till
doesn't matter.
you
You
make it.
complain because you know what? They just don't
They
care.
don't care.
They don't care. So that's one of the things when we get to strategy and
Okay.
plan, we'll talk about, your newsletter, your email list, because your
Okay.
email list is yours. Nobody takes that away from you.
Yeah.
They may drop off. That's okay.
That's okay.
But you nurture those people, you speak with those people, you connect with those people, and you
Yeah.
find out how they want to be connected with. What are they interested in?
Mm.
You're allowed to ask people,
Yes.
you know, hey,
Yes.
I'm writing this book. What interests you about writing? What interests you about this character? As we said what was it last week? Is she bitten by a dog or is she chased by a bear? What do you think?
Yeah. That's so
You
funny.
know? So it's there is interaction is really good with your readers. And that's how you get really dedicated, loyal readers is
But I
they
can
want
see
to be
how
connected.
once you have your core values for your author brand, like how and you're and honestly going in, some of this is a bit I mean, we're human, so we have to have steps, right? But it is kind of
Yeah.
coming back constantly, right? Like you have your strategy, your plan, you come back to your core values, who you are as an author brand, your
Mm.
ideal reader, right? And you're constantly kind of, I feel like you're always looking at that, right?
Yeah,
You're not like, oh, I
it's
did
your
my
base.
author brand and now I'm moving on. Like it's
So
always,
these pillars are a core.
yeah,
I always say, you have to build the foundation of your marketing. You don't decorate a house that doesn't have any walls.
right. You're like building it on there. You're not
You're
just like
building it
doing
on
it and
and
setting it
and you're
aside,
not starting at the top, throwing that spaghetti all over the place, thinking it's going to have some
right?
kind of results when you don't have any foundation underneath to support everything that you do.
Again, you can look at mine. That doesn't spaghetti at walls can be fun. And then you go, well, now I
Yeah.
don't know why that
But
worked or what
hey,
did work.
seriously, if you felt like you had to dress up like a hot dog and dance on TikTok and you did it religiously for 3 months and hated every second of it and it was horrible and it was frustrating, that's not who you
That
are.
sounds like a terrible idea.
I
Yeah.
know. Hey, I have a friend that would love to dress up like a hot dog and dance on TikTok. She would eat it up. It's fun to her.
Yeah.
She's just like, I don't
That's like
care.
my nightmare, even if no one can see
Oh,
my face.
I did make my husband dress up like a hot dog for Halloween one time, and he's like, if you ever show those pictures,
If you ever do that to me again.
it's funny.
Well, it's
Anyway,
good leverage, right? I will show
yeah,
those pictures
it's pretty funny.
clean
But
up
no, I mean
our
that's
laundry.
a bit extreme, but really you have to, and again, this is my opinion and this is what I think works just because I've examined this and I know it's helped me. You want to be able to reach the people who want to read your work.
Yeah, I think that's
No.
who we're talking. Yeah, us.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you can't tell someone something until you know it yourself.
Okay. So what we need to do is find those core values,
Yes. And
and
I've
that's
got,
what we're going to
we'll
build the
put it, I guess
foundation
you
on.
always say in the show notes. I'm like, what are the show notes? It sounds so fun, like dancing girls going across the stage.
We have our
Show
own vocab
notes.
over here at the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. So you're starting to sound like a marketer. Um, but I will have a link in for
Okay.
a list of core values. Now, this is not be all end all. This is just a really good starting place. And there's about 58 of them. So, Um, and then there is what we have defined by Susan David, which helps you look at these values as you're going through. And like, again, your first one might be like, I was like, independence. But then
Hmm.
that ended up not being exactly what fit right for me. So you might choose 20 and then you start calling through them and you're like, what really, real, and you think about it. You have to really think about who
Okay.
you are as a person. And it's not necessarily always comfortable, but it's
Mm.
rewarding.
But it's rewarding.
It's
And
rewarding.
on like there's something about taking the time to do it. And I have to admit, like, I will be very honest one more on these. Like, I'm pretty honest anyway, but like sometimes I don't like talking about all my failures in the past, but we'll divulge one of these. I used to not take the time because I used to think I don't have the time to do that because I was so busy being a mom and doing the things, and I just needed to do my writing. I really like time was just an obsession with me.
Mhm.
But if because none of this is really that new to me, I've heard it, but I
Mhm.
never took the time to do it. So I would tell anyone listening is if that's your first thought, right? Because I've been there. If you actually take the time to do it, you won't be like me 7 years later going,
Things will go much
actually,
faster for you and maybe flow a little bit better if you really understand where you're coming from
right. And
and
when
where
I
you want to
see
get
other
to.
people who have gotten a little bit further than me, I think, I bet you anything they took the time to do that
Well, and
way
I
long
thought,
ago.
Mike, I will tell you, when I started doing this, I was like looking at my coach like, this is just, I'm 60 years old, 61. Well, I know what my core values are, but boy, when I really looked at it from a with a different frame of reference and
Mm,
separated out all those things that were imposed on me,
mm.
it really, like I said, it was freeing, and it took me a while. I mean, I'm very stubborn. I am very, very stubborn, and I'm like, I know what I know, but I
Yeah.
didn't. I
But
didn't. I
also
was like,
like you have to know your author brand is you. Right? Like
"Hmm,
if I've worked for lots of different companies. If I work for them, they've already figured out their core values. Now
they
all I
have a
have to
brand,
do
and all you're doing
is
is
go,
working for it."
yes, I have to represent that brand.
Yeah,
So in that's a lot easier because they're saying like we stand for honesty for this. Okay, now I represent that. Whatever.
yeah.
Like so now I have to figure that out for myself. That's a lot of work.
Your brand is you, and it's how people perceive you. Well, how
Yeah.
do you want to be perceived? When you leave the room, what do you want people to say about you? Do you want them to say,
Good
"Oh, she's
question.
got the best hair I've ever seen"? No. Well, maybe you do. I don't know. That's up to you. But and I start thinking about that, and like, I want people to say I'm intelligent. I want them
Mhm.
to see that I have value. I want them to see that I am creative and that
Mm,
I can do things. I can accomplish things. I can, I'm contributing. When I'm on a team, I contribute. That's so important to me. And I do it in an honest way that's not mean, that's very compassionate, but I won't lie to you. I don't like to be lied to. It
yeah.
sends me through the roof. And so that's really important to me. And I like to connect. When I'm on a team, I want to be connected to the people.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And
Right.
so really, your fans are your team.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
the people who are working with you. They're the people who are
Okay.
going to buy your books.
Right.
So,
So what do you want your
it's
fans to say about you when you're not in the
mhm,
room, basically? I really like
yeah,
that question. That makes you start thinking, right? Like
yeah.
that's a
What do
different
you want people
way.
to say about you when you leave the room?
Right. Right. Yeah. I
You know,
think
I
that helps you get it out of your own head, right? Like
Yeah, and
how
it's
do
not
I
always, "Oh, nice boots. That was a pretty sweater." No, we gotta go
right.
a bit deeper than that because that's
Yeah.
way too easy, right? Huh.
If your
But yeah,
first
so
answer is easy, it's probably not the right one.
that's exactly right. And this can be a little, I'm telling you, it's a little uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but you will find if you think back to situations that you've been in where you have really stood your ground, why were you standing your ground?
Okay.
What was it that, I always had this rule when I was working. I was like, I will never market a product I don't believe in. And if I
Right.
think that there's anything that's not on the up and up, if they're not honest, if they're not I can't do it. I'm not going to do it
Mhm.
because I'm not going to be the one standing on stage doing a presentation about something and they're lying. Mm-mm, not doing it.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
that I didn't realize what that was. I just knew that that was a line for me. And then
Right.
when I realized, I was like, well, that's the honesty thing. If I can't have
Mm,
complete honest, I don't want it. It makes me really uncomfortable.
okay.
So, it's kind of like think back, just think back. And if you do decide to look at this list and you want to give this a try and, noodle around with it a bit, it'll be in those show notes. So look at the suggested
Yeah.
values and then look at the other sheet that shows you kind of like the criteria, and take a shot at it. And then I also have an article from the editor of I believe it's editor-in-chief of Amble Publishing, and he talks about, and it's a really good article about um, author brand versus author promotion versus book promotion. So promoting the author, promoting the book.
Oh,
And so, because you know what, I can tell you all this stuff. Go research it.
yeah.
You know, you don't have to believe me. And I want there to be research that backs up the things that I believe.
Mhm.
And so you can go out there and find things that talk about author brand, what it is, how you establish it. This is just my way. I'm not saying it's the
Yep.
right way, but it's the way I'm comfortable with. And I
Yeah.
think it
This is
works.
the way they're getting on on
This
pencils
is
and
this is
lipstick.
me. Yeah. Hey, this is it.
This is it. Well, and when we have our live at the end of March, I would encourage people to have your core values. And if you have a question about it, you can either send it in or you can come to the live and we can talk about the core values. We're going to talk about them even more next week. I'm going to, not next week, next month, because I'm going to come with my core values. And Becky's going to talk to us about how we're going to go into our ideal reader and we're going to talk about newsletters.
Yeah.
Yay.
We have a lot to discuss.
We do have a lot to discuss. And then
So,
next month we'll start the throw cat under the bus because she should have had her core values already figured out.
oh, I'm gonna let you know. I'm already starting my newsletter. You better hurry up,
You're
girl.
going to be there. Well, you will check
It won't
my
be any
social
good, but
media.
it's gonna have a format.
But that's the thing. Like, and that's what I want to tell. Like, I am the queen of trying and failing. I learn best when I fall flat on my face. And that's the thing. Like, none of this is perfect.
No, and you
I
know
think
what?
it's better to try than to be perfect at it. We just have to, and not in a way of like throwing spaghetti at the wall, but you have to try things. You have to start.
Mhm.
It's not going to be perfect. We are of the generation of no selfies. It is very uncomfortable to turn the camera around. It's uncomfortable to talk to it. You feel silly, but I will say no one's like when you're starting out, literally no one's seeing you. So just start. Like, and that's what I would tell
Yeah.
myself over and over again. And then when somebody says, "Oh, I saw your video," I go,
Oh,
but
and
they're
you know
usually like,
what
"It
you
was so
think about it? Yeah,
cute."
and that's the thing. We are so judgmental of ourselves,
We're terrible
and
to
we just
ourselves.
think that we everything we do is just silly. But we all have value, and I
Yeah.
think that this is just part of learning. And if a writer starts to understand what they have to offer
Yeah.
and they become more confident in feeling that, yes, this is a good story. This
Yes.
means something. People will enjoy this. They will feel something. It's going to, all these different things. It helps your confidence. And
Mhm.
if nothing else, I think that's really important to really start understanding that, hey, this is your skin,
Yep.
be in it
Yep.
and
Absolutely.
understand that everybody's got different strengths and weaknesses, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And it's all right to be messy.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's like, oh, messy, so bad, so bad. It's not. It's really not, because I'll tell you what, messy makes you learn quickly.
Very
And
quickly.
there's nobody out there that's not messy. And that's the other thing. I don't care how good people look on camera. I don't, all that stuff. Everybody's got their thing. There's
Mhm.
not one of us that does not carry something. And so we have that in common. And that if that makes you feel a little bit better about starting this, and you know what? People are generally helpful. And if you need
Yeah.
help, we'll help you.
We are generally the most judgmental. Most people are out there like ready to encourage you. Like just and if you
Yeah.
don't say that, go to a different place on the internet. So,
Well, and
like,
but that's the thing. That's part of it is, and then we will talk about that later when we're talking about, strategy and stuff is
okay.
ask,
Mhm.
ask for help.
Oh, the
I was
author
in a
community
women's
is so
group,
helpful.
and one of the things, the rule was you have to say something, you have to celebrate something, because that's how you start building your confidence, even the smallest things. I made my bed. Yes. All right, you made your bed. And then say something good about yourself.
Ooh. Now we're getting uncomfortable. Yes.
What are you proud about?
Mhm.
You're allowed to say it. And that was really, it was so hard. It
I
was
bet.
so hard. But you know what? It it made me feel good. And we all were in that same boat together going, and then they'd go, I'd be the last one, and they'd be like, Becky. I'm like, nothing happened. And they're like, what? You've had a whole week away from us. Not one good thing happened. You didn't do something good. you're just like, it's like, stop that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
it. You're only hurting yourself. People want to know. They want you to ask. And that was the last thing we did. Every week we asked for help in some way. And I'll
That's
tell you what, I
interesting.
got my first client that way.
That's interesting.
And it was from someone I had just met. And I said, this is what I really want to do. If you know any writers, and I got a writer the next week just because I asked and I let
Because you
somebody
asked.
know
You have
what
not
I
because
was
you ask
doing.
not. Interesting. All
It was
right.
hard, but I was like, that's
Yep.
what I need. I'm
Yep.
floundering,
Yep.
and I got it.
Yep. And that is true. We need, like, writers are alone so much that I think that we feel like we have to do everything alone, and we
And you
don't.
don't.
We absolutely don't. So we are going to have all those links in the show notes. We're going to continue to talk about author brand. I mean, we are giving you guys the pillars, the author brand, the ideal reader, and then the strategy and implementing it, because that is just going to be the circle that we go constantly, because that, as you said, that's the foundation. My head sees it as a merry-go-round, but that's okay. We can do a foundation,
However you want to see it.
right? Well,
It's up to
however you
you.
build off of that, because you can't go anywhere. You won't know what the results are. You won't know how to build on it if you don't have those. So,
Because you have to
um,
have goals and you have to be able to have actionable steps to reach them, and you have to be able to track them. Because it doesn't do
yeah,
you any good if you don't know if you're successful or not.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Because I
So,
have stories about people who actually don't know why they were successful and then why they suddenly weren't. And we don't want to be like that, right? We want to know, we
yeah,
want to be able to continue to build from
yeah.
from
And we want to
these.
make this as easy as possible for you.
Right.
Take the scare out of it, the overwhelm, and the feeling that nobody can do it unless you're a professional marketer.
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't have to be. You don't
Which
have
we all
to.
know that at our core. We just need to admit it. So,
Yeah.
okay,
So
that's
there you go.
awesome. We are going to encourage you guys to look in the show notes below for all the links, and we will see you guys next time. And I want to remind you that if you get on the writer's newsletter, which is always in the show notes below, you will be the first to get all of the information for the live. You will have the links to fill out the question forms. So if you want to stay in the know, and of course we will have the date next week and on social media as well, but email is just so much easier. Like, it's actually in your inbox and you can
Yeah.
always go back and refer to it. So we encourage you guys to do that so that you can be part of the live at the end of March. But thank you, Becky.
All
We will be
right.
back in a
Well,
month.
this is lovely. I love doing this. I can't wait till next time.
I know, me too.
Thank you, Kat, for having me. I appreciate it.
Of
So
course.
take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.